Hello, my name is Rachel Warick. I'm from Vancouver Community College, and I'm a program coordinator here talking to you today about supporting the career needs of VCC international students, a collaborative and decentralized approach. So first I'll begin by acknowledging that I myself am occupying the ancestral and unceded lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and the Squamish Nation. I honor the Indigenous peoples of this land, respect their right to sovereignty and self-determination, and I'm committed to being a better listener and learner. So VCC supports for international students are quite vast, mostly done by the International Education Department. And international education at VCC often customizes the services for students based on specific needs of each academic department. For example, they will visit classes, they will help circulate program-specific information, they'll meet with students, they'll connect students with resources. So they do quite a lot of activities for students. I personally am not with international education, but my department is partnered with international education to provide one additional type of support for students. And part of that partnership is because at VCC, we have a very decentralized career services. We don't have a career center like most schools. Most of the career guidance that students receive is done in the context of applied skills programming. And so therefore here at VCC, we call the teachers, the faculty and staff who provide that kind of career guidance, we call them career influencers. So as I said, those are the faculty and staff who they may not know it themselves, but they play a career development role in the student's career trajectory. So those career influencers are often informed by their own career journey. They aren't necessarily connected to career development theory and practice as folks would typically if they were working in a career center. So those career influencers include skills instructors, advisors, program assistants, English tutors, and even our international education advisors can play the role of a career influencer by providing students with some kind of guidance that may impact their career trajectory. And really, career influencers in the widest sense are really any of the folks that students trust to get some kind of career advice that can sometimes be formal. For example, as maybe there's a class in a student's program that is specifically on employability skills, or it might be as a service. The counselors here at VCC will often provide career counseling sessions, or our tutors in our learning center will provide support on editing resumes, those sorts of things. But it can also be informal advice. So if a student trusts their teacher or maybe a staff member, ask them just for general advice, that would be providing career guidance by a career influencer. And this whole concept is based around the idea of really the institution is the career center, which is particularly true at VCC because we do not have a formal career center. So instead, VCC has set up something called Career Lab. And what Career Lab does, that's where I work, is we connect those career influencers to that traditional formal career development theory and practice. So we can consult with the faculty and staff, we can collaborate with them to develop new things, we can support the incubation of new career guidance initiatives. So we partner with our internal colleagues really to enrich that current career guidance delivery and build innovations that would then use or build on contemporary career development theory and practice. So typically we will provide professional development for faculty and staff. We do develop resources and tools that those faculty and staff can use with students. We can consult on different career programming, and we can kind of innovate and develop collaborations with departments. And one of those happens to be a partnership we have with our international education department here at VCC. For that, we created what we call the Ready to Work international program. So this was initially designed, international education contacted us in Career Lab to talk about how they wanted to provide some kind of additional or specialized career supports for those students who were going to be coming to Canada after having studied most of their program in their home country during the pandemic. So by the time we kind of developed this program and it came to fruition, it turns out that there wasn't going to be this specialty cohort that required that specific training. Most of the students from international education had been here in Canada for a while. So we created this general 3-part in-person workshop series that covered things like understanding workplace culture and employability, working on your actual applications. What does that mean in a Canadian context? And networking and interviewing. So those are 3-hour workshops. We also have a short summarized version of both of of all of these that happened during the summer. Just little samplers, more as a teaser to support those students who are still here over the summer months. So this whole program was developed. We have run this now several times. So we've built in feedback from the students into the current program. We talked with international education about the types of career needs that they hear from students. We did a little survey to find out what international students really are looking for in terms of supporting their career needs. We do have a fairly good knowledge of the types of career topics that those students will likely already cover in their applied skills programming. So Ready to Work is not intended to replace that or to even compete with that in any way. We really try to develop some of the components so that it will enhance or complement or further extend the learning that they are already getting in their applied skills programming, if they do. Not all of our programs do include those career-related components. And all of the topics in the Ready to Work are delivered through an intercultural career guidance lens. So here's just a sample of some of the topics that we cover. We help students understand what an employer would be looking for. So we help them understand the employer wants to know, are they student actually motivated for this particular job? Is the student a good match for this particular posting they have? Do they have the personality and soft skills? So we have students be able to do exercises and activities for them to ask themselves these questions and to make sure that those answers show up in their applications or in their interviews. Career targeting, we found that many students had a lot of questions about, where do I even start on a career in Canada? Should I just get any job? Should I try to target the type of work that I'm studying to do? Should it be based on my past experience from my home country? Because as we know, many international students have a wealth of experience that they can bring to Canada. So we have developed some components around that. Of course, workplace culture. What are some of the norms in Canada and how even those norms are sometimes different depending on what workplace. And we also try to focus on using a bit of a narrative approach. So helping students to understand the different aspects of what employers are looking for and the different aspects that will impact their career decisions. Certainly while they're looking for work, right, while they're in school, once they graduate from our programs, and even to manage their career beyond. So that type of a storytelling approach wouldn't typically, certainly in that, the way we organize it, be necessarily covered in our applied skills programming. So it's kind of an additional piece that we're able to offer students that helps them, especially helps them recognize that they already come with a wealth of expertise, a wealth of skills, especially some of those soft skills and adaptability. There's nothing that shows adaptability more than actually being able to move to a whole new country and a whole new culture, having to learn how to adapt for that. So we find it's very helpful. Students really appreciate when we point out that they recognize they already come with a lot of skills. So we've done at least 3 offerings of this. We've had 38 people come in person for our online summer samplers. 26 students took part in those. And as you can see, with the students that come, it's a wide mix from different areas of study. So they can all be within the same in-person workshop, which is really great because it's interesting to see how the topics that we cover can apply regardless of the field of study or the type of employment. Certainly there might be subtleties, but it's really useful for people to be able to hear from each other and see where there are similarities. So some of the things we've noticed over those three offerings, and students that are able to come are really engaged. They always have lots of questions. So it's great to be able to answer those, sometimes on an individual basis. They have lots of questions about job search, usually particularly in Vancouver, where we are. As I mentioned, about career targeting, entering the labor market, how to transfer their existing skills. We've found that students really appreciate that career storytelling concepts that we put in there, and especially when we use that for them to help them to be able to tell their story that really acknowledges the wealth of skills that they often already have to offer employers. And we can also then provide referrals to other VCC services like the Learning Center, like the counselors, and to external employment services. So we can be a bit of a conduit for that. The quote there, I won't read it all, but just one of our recent participants just expressed her appreciation. We do also include a limited one-to-one coaching that the students can do with the instructor. And yeah, how often students really find it a very valuable experience. So that's my entire presentation, and thank you so very much.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about a program that we run at the University of British Columbia called Launch Your Career in Canada, supporting career development of international students. My name is Shabnam. I'm a career educator with UBC's Career Centre, and I've also provided my email. If you want to connect later, let me know. Before getting into what the program Launch Your Career in Canada is about, I wanted to give you a little bit of overview of what is the Career Centre ecosystem of support for students, because that will give you a little bit of a better idea of how Launch Your Career in Canada actually falls within this ecosystem. So here at the Career Centre at UBC, there are 3 teams. One, Career and Professional Development. On the career and professional development team, we do one-on-one advising. We have in-house career workshops. So every week we have a workshop on a career development topic. The list of workshops are in our event calendar at the beginning of the month, so students know what is happening during that month. We also do careering courses, which are basically collaboration with different faculties where we go into specific courses that they're teaching and provide workshops on career development material. Is a really great opportunity for us to be in classrooms because students' time is actually limited and they're already there in the classroom. So actually going where they are at a time that they have committed to being there provides us with a great opportunity to bring the material where students are at, and also tailoring the material that we share with students based on their specific disciplines. We also do population-specific programming. We support students with disabilities, Indigenous students, Black students, and also international students, which will be the focus of today's conversation. We also have a team called Employer and Alumni Engagement. They are responsible for managing career fairs. They do something called alumni office hours, where they ask one of the previous alumni to come talk about their career development journey, things that they have found useful in that journey. And we often find that students find those conversations useful because they will see and hear from people that they consider peers, people who have went to the same university, might have had the same struggles, and learn from them. And we also do employer information sessions, which are sessions where employers have an opportunity to come to campus, talk to students about their hiring processes, what they're looking for, to give students specific information about specific companies. We also have a workplace learning team, which basically create experiential learning opportunities for students. They oversee basically two large programs, one called Work Learn International Undergraduate Research Awards, Undergraduate Student Research Awards, and Work Learn programs. So they have a combination of research opportunities for students with Work Learn program. If you have not heard of Work Learn program, it's an experiential opportunity at UBC where students can find employment throughout campus with different UBC departments, labs, and UBC Career Centre subsidizes student salaries to enable different employers across UBC campus to hire students. So within this context of all of this support, what is Launch Your Career in Canada? So Launch Your Career in Canada is basically UBC's annual networking experience open only to UBC international students that is dedicated to supporting their career development. Each year, Launch Your Career in Canada provides an opportunity to hear from and connect with alumni and industry professionals alike. We have been running the program for over a decade. We know that international students have unique needs, and having a specific program called Launch Your Career in Canada actually provides an opportunity for us to design programming that addresses the needs and concerns of students. So what is this programming that I'm talking about like? It has three different kind of components to it. One is career education workshops, one alumni and industry connections, and a third is pathways to postgraduate work permit and staying in Canada after graduation at UBC. I'm not an immigration advisor, so I'm not going to go into detail about that workshop. We actually worked with our international student development team to provide that workshop to students so students know what are some of the legal kind of obligations they have and what are their pathways to stay in Canada, which is the question of a lot of international students. So the programming that I'm going to focus on is basically the two components that are focused on career development, one, the career education workshops, and one, alumni and industry connections. So what do we actually do in the career education workshops? We kind of try through our programming to actually respond to international students' needs. So in this Launch Your Career in Canada program, we usually do the programming across 1 or 2 weeks to provide tailored information to international students. It's an opportunity for them to hear from alumni how to navigate the job market as international students before. We also address their concerns and assumptions about employers' view of international students, and we also try to increase their sense of confidence and hope towards their career development. It's hard to be an international student in a new country. You're trying to navigate a lot of different things, and one of them being how do you actually fit in the system? And being able to actually hear from other people's perspectives who have been in the same situation gives them a sense of hope and confidence that it is possible to find a place in the Canadian labor market for yourself. So now to the career education workshops. Last year we did kind of 4 different workshops for students. One was how to find on-campus work and research opportunities. UBC is a great big campus. It's hard sometimes to navigate what are some of the opportunities that are available and also miss some of the opportunities that are available. So that workshop actually had the lens of connecting students with as many resources that are as available on the UBC campus. We did one around career options and career planning for international graduate students, so we can actually respond to the specific needs of graduate students. We did one around using labor market information in career decision making. Sometimes as an international student, it's hard to find the information around labor market, specifically in Canada. They might not know what websites to go to or what information is actually relevant to them. So this workshop was kind of tailored around helping them. Where do you actually find information around the Canadian labor market? And how do you actually use it in your decision making? What does it really mean if one sector is growing and another is not? So how do you actually navigate the labor market? for your own individual needs. And another on telling your story. So students do a lot of things, but for them to be successful in the labor market, they need to be able to translate their knowledge, skills, and experiences into a Canadian context. Students have a lot of questions around, okay, if I have an experience elsewhere, how can I actually showcase that on my documents? Should I actually showcase it on my documents? So helping them a little bit with getting attuned to some of the ways people put together their documents in the Canadian system, how to communicate it to employers, which we always get a lot of great feedback on. In the section around alumni and industry connections, we did 3 series. One, ask a hiring manager how to stand out when applying for a job. This was a panel of hiring managers that talked about how they actually see international talent. And it was really useful because students actually could talk about some of the concerns that they had. Ask a recruiter, does it matter that I'm an international student? Do you give preference to domestic students? Should I actually include an experience that is from my home country? Is it relevant? Do you find it relevant? And it's one thing for us as career educators to say what employers look for is our skills, and then it's another to actually hear it from a hiring person. So students had a lot of good, nice engagement in that session. We did one on my career story that was around getting practical experience that actually counts in Canada. And it was a panel of international students who have been from different fields, now are doing different jobs in different industries, to share insights around what that experience was like for them, to share some of the struggles they had in navigating the labor market. Some of those nagging questions or feelings that will come up for them as, do I belong in the market? I have a different communication style than someone else. I have an accent. Does that matter? And we also did an alumni office hours on balancing work, school, and life while facing financial constraints, where one of the previous alumni talked about how they navigated their life while they were in school. And we know that international students pay high tuition fees. Some of them are under a lot of financial pressure. So acknowledging some of the realities that might exist in life of international students outside of just work is important to us. We never make the assumption that school is the only commitment a student has. And I think finding or navigating your career is difficult because there is not just one factor. You need to balance so many different things, and it might become stressful when you need to manage different things like work, like school, like life, all at the same time. So first, bringing awareness that that's okay if that's a struggle. If many things are coming up and you don't know how to navigate it, it's normal. And here are some of the tips that you can use to navigate having many things on your table. What did we get for student feedback? One student said, I have come out of this event with more knowledge and confidence about the common struggles of international students in navigating their careers in Canada. In other words, I feel more empowered to tackle my post-graduation journey thanks to this event. One person said, it demystified the hiring process and motivated me to stay encouraged during the job search process. I found the information shared to be a good reminder that career fit and soft skills are just as important as technical skills. So I think from the students' comments, we got a lot of things that we were hoping for, that students have actually confidence that they have a place in the labor market, that they have an understanding of how the labor market actually works and the nuances that exist, right? Such as your academics is not the only thing. Who you are as a person and what you bring to the market is also important. So that concludes my presentation on the Launch Your Career in Canada programming that we have been running. Thank you for listening, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions.